I'm Cheryl Baker and a warm welcome to Showboaters, your definitive guide to what to expect from the world of cruising. And 2016 is certainly shaping up to prove that bigger is better. This year, Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Holland America and Regent Seven Seas all unveil their largest ever vessels. Here to tell us more about what we can expect is Adam Coulter, editor of Cruise Critic. So Adam,
Hi.
First and foremost, hello. They are getting bigger and better, aren't they? Tell us as an overall what's happening.
Yeah, well, as you said, the interesting thing this year is, and I'm not sure whether it's coincidence or planned, I suspect the former, but all these lines are putting out their biggest ships ever. And some are putting out new classes, like Holland America line, Pinnacle class, brand new class, Carnival Vista, brand new class. So it's exciting because it is a real bumper year for cruising with these massive ships coming on board.
But cruising is getting so popular now. I don't think they can build the ships quick enough.
No, they can't. I mean, they're filling them up. It's absolutely incredible. And obviously, it's not just confined to the UK. Australia, booming market down under, New Zealand, China, of course. You know, a lot of the ships are going out there. Some ships being built specifically for the Chinese market. So it's cruising all over the world. It's going through a real boom time at the moment.
Which is wonderful. Let's have a look at some of these then, the new ships.
Sure.
Koningsdam,
I believe. I'm not an expert in Dutch, but it means king, and it's a huge new ship, new class, Pinnacle class, lots of firsts on there. They're concentrating on the food aspect. Loads of ships concentrate on that, but they've got a link up with the Culinary Arts Centre, so you've got some real quality cooking going on board on there, which you can participate in as well. They've also got music link-ups as well with billboards, so you've got this walk where you can go to different clubs, like a jazz bar and another type of theme music. And also,
what shipping line is it, by the way?
Sorry, it's Holland America line, I should say.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting, and it's their first ship in 6 years, which is obviously a long time in cruising.
Yeah.
So people are excited about this, and I'm lucky enough to be on board one of the maiden sailings. So
how many passengers do you know?
it's going to be, I would say, around about the 3,000 mark. They don't build them as big as Royal Caribbean, but that is the biggest for Holland America line.
Blues and Jazz at BB King Blues Club.
Yeah.
This is nice. They're doing specific, yeah.
And the great thing is, obviously, with these ships, you walk around, you're all, you know, you can go to these three different clubs. You don't have to worry about grabbing a cab, you know, or the rain or the weather or something. You've got these clubs next to each other, and then when you get tired, you just go back to your room. You don't have to worry about catching a tube home or, you know. So these are some of the things that are great on cruising. You can have a whole full night out and not go very far.
Does Holland America sail from UK ports, or?
It used to. It doesn't anymore. But obviously, Amsterdam's not on Rotterdam, and it's not very far away.
So does it mean that most of the passengers are Dutch?
Mixture. It's Holland America line, so you've got loads of Americans come over. It's very popular in America, obviously, and then the ships deployed out there in the Mediterranean and sailing from Amsterdam. So it's a mixture of Americans, Brits, Dutch, and other European Europeans as well.
Yeah.
But as far as languages, if anyone's concerned about that, English is always the first language, and the second language will be the language of the line. So it may be Dutch, but Dutch speak. You know, most Dutch speak English.
They do. They speak it at the age of 6. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. So no. So there's no problem there. I'm very excited about it. I've never sailed on Holland America line, flying to Rome, doing the Mediterranean, flying back from Gibraltar. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. Should be on for about a week, 6 days, I think. Yes.
Well, that would be great. Come back and tell us all about it. Let's move on then to another ship. Ovation of the Seas.
Literally, just got off it this morning.
Really?
Yes. Ovation of the Seas is the third in Royal Caribbean's Quantum class, they call it. The first one was called Quantum of the Seas.
What does that mean, quantum? Does it mean huge?
It does in this instance. It's one of the biggest ships in the world, 4,200 passengers, something like that. You won't see it, unfortunately, unless you go to China, because both Quantum, well, as I said, about the Chinese market, it's growing leaps and bounds. They've deployed the first ship, Quantum, in China. Ovation is going a couple of sailings, 3 sailings, I think, in the UK, then going on its grand voyage, which takes it down all the way to China from the UK, so via the Mediterranean, Suez Canal, Dubai, Singapore. Amazing. Wouldn't mind going on that, actually. So, and then it's going to China. But so yeah, you won't see it, unfortunately. But it does have all the firsts that Quantum has. It's got this giant capsule type thing that takes you up above the top of the ship, so you can look around. It's got simulated skydiving, surfing, all those wonderful things that you can do now on board ships. Amazing.
You showed me some photos before we started filming.
I did.
Bumper cars?
Oh yes, I forgot to say it's got bumper cars as well. Of course.
And it was huge.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? When you said, I thought, oh, well, it's going to be a little area, but
yeah,
no.
a dinky thing. No, not at all. It's actually a really decent size, as good as, you know, as big as you'd get as a fun fair.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, people were having a lot of fun on that.
Were you there on your own or with the family?
No, this was just what's called it's called a shakedown cruise, where they get invited people on board, usually press, trade, travel agents, and they kind of put the ship through its paces. So free bar, enough said.
Home port in China.
Yeah, so you won't really see it. But there is an equivalent. It's called Anthem of the Seas, based out of Bayonne in New Jersey in America, which is the sister ship, which is also a lovely, lovely ship.
Breathtaking entertainment space 270 that blends acrobatics, dance and music with floor-to-ceiling LED screens.
It is amazing. I didn't even have a chance to mention that, but you've got... I've been told it's the biggest screen in the world, and it's all the back of the ship, 3 stories high, all these ultra high definition screens that either can be just showing something on their own, so you've got a montage of different things, or they form one giant backdrop. So for example, the show I was watching, it was these beautiful gold and red brocade sort of curtains, like in an old style theatre, as a backdrop, and then suddenly it will change to some sort of other thing going on, like a mountain view. It's just incredible.
Jaw-dropping.
It's genuine jaw-dropping entertainment, and they have this other thing called the robo dancers or something, which are like they're LED screens, but they move in time. They sync with the human dancers on the stage, so they're mimicking their movements. It's incredible, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, these things have moved on, haven't they, since the 1950s?
Yeah, they have, yeah. Better than deck quoits, isn't it? Shuffleboard.
Nothing wrong with shuffleboard.
No, I'm not knocking shuffleboard.
So, Viking Sea?
Well, I've been on the sister ship, and they are identical, as far as I'm aware, and it's absolutely beautiful. If you like your ships stylish, sort of Nordic lines, you know, a bit like a giant sauna, which sounds wrong, but it's that sort of colour, that lovely light wood that you get in saunas. Really beautiful decor, really thoughtful design, lovely little things you spot here and there, as well as excellent food and a lovely area called the Winter Garden, which is sort of this pool with a retractable roof, and you just sit there, you know, either take in the sun, or if the roof is closed, just enjoy a drink or a, you know, afternoon tea or something. Beautiful ships, really lovely design, lovely. I haven't even talked about the showers, but they've got underfloor heating in the bathrooms, which for me is a first on a ship.
Yeah, never heard of that.
Maybe because it's their Nordic, you know.
Oh yes,
they're used to that. Yeah. But it was lovely.
Is it a large ship, a small ship, and what cruise line is it?
Well, it's Viking.
Oh, I see. That's the cruise line.
Yeah, that's the cruise line, and most people know them for river. Most people will have known them for rivers.
Yeah.
They're the biggest. They're the biggest line. They're Viking River cruises. They just branched into ocean cruising last year. So got Viking Sea and Star, and a third one on the way, possibly a fourth.
Of course.
Yeah, keep building. But they have the same sort of similar designs. You know, very strict, sort of simple, but in a good way, elegant. You know, which they've translated onto the ship. Oh, and I should mention the spa. For me, is one of the most outstanding spas I've ever been in. You've got, you know, again, the Nordic thing. You've got an ice room or a snow room where you think, I'm never going in there. But then you gradually go in more and more, and then you contrast with, you know, jumping in a boiling hot tub. And the contrast with you lie there, you can sort of make snow angels, you know. It's real snow pumped out.
Wow.
And then you jump out into and apparently it's good for the circulation.
Apparently so, yeah.
Yeah, I did it 5 times, but I felt really rejuvenated. So so that's highly recommended.
Would you say that's more for adults though, or?
I would.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
it's not strictly adults only, but I would.
Yeah.
I would probably say that. And to your question about how big it is, they're relatively small ships. They're not more than 1,000 or so, 900, I think. Yeah.
And where do they cruise to and from?
They're Mediterranean-based mainly, but also obviously from Norway as well. Okay. Just heading up there at the moment, actually.
So you would have to fly to join it, and
you would. Some ships call in at the UK, but you probably wouldn't. I don't think you'd be able to get on board. You'd have to fly to get to it. Yeah. But it's worth the flight. It's a beautiful ship.
All right, Adam. Well, we're going to talk some more after the break and learn some more about some more new ships. So see you in a few minutes. Don't go away. and welcome back to Showboaters, where we're giving you a glimpse into some of the big cruise ship launches this year. Adam Coulter, editor of Cruise Critic, is still with me. Thank goodness for that. So let's move on then. We've talked about 3 big ships, and the next one I've got here is Carnival Vista. Carnival Vista,
yes. That's another exciting big ship launch. Not the biggest in the world or anything, but it's the biggest for Carnival. And one of the standout things that certainly I think the headline grabbing one is the fact that they're going to be brewing their own beer on board.
Ah,
yes,
a microbrewery
on board. There's a real, there's a bit of a movement, isn't there, towards these craft beers, but Carnival's taking it one step further and brewing their own on board. So that's certainly something to look forward to. Obviously, that's not the only thing that it will have. It's going to also have an IMAX theatre, which I believe is a first for cruise ships. So certainly a first for Carnival. And obviously Carnival are the fun ships, so you can be guaranteed that you're going to have an amazing time on those ships. There's always be lots to do.
Water tube slide.
Oh yes.
450 feet long.
450 foot long slide. It must go round a lot or be very high.
Well, let's hope so.
Yes, exactly. So there's that. That's also something to look forward to. But yeah, there's so much to do on those ships. It's incredible.
Skyride is a suspended ride along an open air track on top of the ship.
Sounds terrifying.
It really does. They must be thinking. They must be in their office.
Yes.
Thinking, what can we do next that's different from all the other ships?
Well, funnily enough, that could segue into the next ship, actually, Cheryl, because that is what happened with the next ship that we're going to be talking about.
Really?
Yes.
Let's stay with Carnival just for a minute. It's just under 4,000 passengers, so it is absolutely massive.
That's big, but in these days, that's actually not. It's not even the biggest ship. It's one of the biggest ships in the world. But you've got, for example, Royal Caribbean's Quantum class 4,200, Royal Caribbean's Oasis class 5,400. MSC Cruises are building some of the biggest ships in the world, 6,500.
Oh, for goodness sake!
I know it's all crazy numbers, isn't it? But it is big. Don't get me wrong, it is a big size ship, and there's an awful lot to do and fun stuff on board.
Well, it says here as well they have a dedicated families only zone, that's rather nice. Exclusive lounge and cabins. That's a good idea.
No, it's a lovely idea, and Carnival do cater a lot for families. Actually, I think they carry the most kids on all. They're huge in America. You see, Carnival. They were sort of started mainstream cruising, as we know it today, and they've always catered for the family. So, and they do it very well.
Well, let's move on then to the Harmony of the Seas.
Yes,
that's Royal Caribbean, isn't it?
It is Royal Caribbean.
Yeah.
Biggest cruise ship in the world when it comes out. Yes, by 33 centimetres. Interesting fact. So the first biggest ship in the world of this class, the Oasis class, came out 8 years ago, and then the second one followed quite soon after, Allure of the Seas. This one has taken a while to come out, and I was speaking, funnily enough, to one of the head people there, and I said, "Why the delay?" And they say, "Well, we were waiting for the demand. 2008 obviously was the economic crash, and things have picked up since then, and the demand now is back for these mega ships, and so they've built this one bigger, better." All the technology that they've been pioneering on the other ships, things like, we haven't even touched on this, things like, high-speed internet on board, which more and more people are asking for.
Oh, tell me about it, honestly.
Well, before it used to be shocking, but they've got all this amazing internet capability, all the technology on stuff, so you can have, you've got these touch screens, so instead of queuing up to ask for your bill, you can just do it all automatically. You've got these wristbands to pay for food and things like that as you go around. All sorts of different technology that they've imported from their other ships and will be on Harmony. One of the things that is really stand out is the Abyss, which
boggles. Tell me.
It's a 10-story dry slide. And what it does, obviously I haven't been on this thing, and nor would I, but you have to...
Coward.
You go from the sports deck on deck 15, I believe it is, maybe 14, down to the boardwalk, which is this sort of kind of open area where they have a carousel and stuff, and an aqua park at the back. And it's 10 stories straight down with this kind of semi-vertical drop.
Damn.
And you go through the gaping mouths of an anglerfish, those things with the... So you're already quite terrified, and you stand there. And when we went on the ship tour, we looked down, and 10 stories you're talking about. So some brave souls are going to do that. Not
Did
myself.
any brave souls do it when you were there?
Well, it was
the critics.
It was under construction. So
I see.
So there was nothing there. So we would have literally fallen into an abyss. But it was. So I think that's another kind of real standout thing.
Is it aimed at the children, or is it?
I don't know if kids are allowed. I think you have to be of a certain age to go on this thing, because it really looked, I mean, that distance was really quite scary. So that's one of the standout features.
The big ships really do. I mean, they're great for families, aren't they? They really are. And people with a touch of adventure in their lives.
I think so, yeah, because this one's got 2 flow riders, which is the simulated surfing at the back. It's got climbing walls. It's got. It doesn't actually have the bumper cars. You know, that's for the quantum. Oh. No bumper
Ruined
cars.
It for me.
Shocking. But it's got almost every other thing you can think of. And one of the things that makes this different from all other ships in the world, except for its 2 sisters, Oasis and Allure, is they've kind of hollowed out the inside, as it were. So you actually have boardwalks which are open to the air within the ship itself. You can look up. And so you've got inside cabins, but with a view.
Oh, that's nice.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're looking down to areas called Central Park, which is this beautiful green area with high-end restaurants and shops, or looking down to the boardwalk, which is another open area. We've got the carousel and stuff.
That's a nice idea.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
That's the one thing. If you're in an inside cabin, too often you would just feel you can't see anything until you go out onto the deck.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Oh, that's nice.
But what's really nice is this Central Park area is all green with real plants. You know, actual plants that are watered. You know, by gardeners. There's like 20,000 plants there or something. So you can go there and you just feel at peace and at ease. You know, you can sit there and have a drink and literally see the night sky. You know, not some simulated version of it, but the night sky.
Fabulous, so, yeah. Do you think they're going to get any bigger before we move on to the next ship?
Well, MSC Cruises has announced a new class of ship called World Class just recently, and they've also got 2 other ships coming up called Seaside and Meraviglia, and they look to be even bigger, actually. Okay. So, I mean, who knows? To be honest, but the demand is there. They keep building them.
So the ports must be affected. They must be thinking, "Oh, our port isn't big enough for this ship."
Yeah. I think it was a similar situation. You remember when that double-decker plane came out, the A380? Some of the airports had to adjust to have two of those gangway things.
Yes, of course.
So ports are definitely, you know, they are catering for that, for these mega ships, and they'll have all sorts of different, you know, entrances and stuff. So that's the other thing people worry about. Well, how long will it take me to check in with 6,500 people? It's like 10 jumbo jets worth. But it's a slick operation, and they come in at all, you know, there's not just one place to enter. You can enter on several different gangways. So.
All right, moving on then.
Yes.
Regent 7 Seas Explorer. Regent 7 Seas Explorer. Yeah.
Yes, well, the big thing about Regent is that it's being billed as the most luxurious cruise ship ever built, with a price tag to match. Apparently the owner's suite, as they call it, which is sort of the most expensive cabin. Now, I could be wrong here, but I've heard a figure of $50,000 a night.
Cheap at half the price.
But you do get, I mean, it's, you know, you'll probably get a baby grand piano in there, and, you know, butler service and twin hot tubs and, you know, gold-plated napkins probably. But, you know, this is the high end. This is the absolute top end of cruising. But
it's a small ship. I've just seen 738 passengers, so it's not biggest is best. This is like...
Well, generally, rule of thumb, not always, but the smaller ships are the more luxurious ones, you know, Seabourn, Silver Sea, Regent, Crystal. And the reason for that is, so the cruise line, I mean, I think there's truth in this. Once you get past a certain number of passengers, you can't give that personal service. And they pride themselves, all of these lines, on giving really personal service, where often they'll know you by name after just a day, and they'll know your dining preferences and your seating preferences. And that's what you get on these luxury ships.
Yeah. It's $10,000 per day.
All right, I got it wrong.
No, that's okay.
I said it 5 times more than that, but it's still $10,000 a day is not cheap. But
unlimited private in-cabin massages. You could be massaged from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep.
Well, there's a perk. I didn't know about that. I have to get myself booked on board. Sounds great.
Gourmet. It does look wonderful. Foodies will love this ship.
I'm lucky enough to be on Regent only for a short cruise, but the food was the steak restaurant there, absolutely exceptional. Some of the finest steaks I've ever had, land or sea. Yeah. Really nice.
Okay, moving on to Seabourn Encore.
Seabourn did a series of ships, Sojourn, Quest, and Odyssey.
Another small ship, isn't it?
Yeah, this is an even smaller ship. But what it is one deck bigger. So it's got 630 passengers, I believe. Seabourn kind of redefined luxury cruising, and they made it really, really stylish and really high-end, really quality with these three first ships. Then there was a bit of a lull, and then they've built this one, which is the very similar design, but just one deck, one extra deck, and I think 100 more people, something like that. So you've still got that small ship feel, but you've got a couple more facilities, a slightly different design in some of the more popular areas. They've got a link up with the famous chef Thomas Keller, and so he's providing all the culinary sort of guidance on board, so you can guarantee the food will be absolutely top notch. I think they're introducing a sushi bar, and the entertainment as well, I think, will be tweaked as well. But these really are like Regent. This is the high end of, this is super high end luxury cruising, and the service levels are second to none. They're all suites, for example. They're not cabins.
Yes,
they're suites. They've all got bathtubs, and I think most of them have got butlers or some sort of specialist personal steward.
This is special. This is special.
You're paying for it, but you know. And the great thing is about luxury cruising, which we haven't really spoken about. You don't pay for anything once you're on board.
Oh, your drinks are free?
Everything's included.
Okay.
Everything.
Well, yeah.
So you don't have to carry around a card and sign for things. You just say, oh, next round's on me. Oh, that's all right, that's easy, because it's already been paid for. So it's a really nice thing. You know, you just go from, and all the restaurants are inclusive, tips, Wi-Fi, I think, nowadays, often shore excursions. So you pay a lot up front, but you get a lot once you're on board. And
the beauty of these smaller ships is that they can go to the ports that the big ships can't go to.
That's absolutely right. They can. They go to more out-of-the-way places, and the smaller ports that can't cater to the mega ships. And obviously, you know, the smaller ports, you're going to have it more to yourself. But you're right, they go to all these wonderful out-of-the-way places. Do
you prefer the big ships for the excitement, or do you prefer the intimacy of the small ships?
I'm sort of torn on that, Cheryl. I'm really torn, because I think the smaller ships are better for if you're just a couple, if it's just adults. Whereas I've got a young family, and for me, the bigger ships win out every time. But I think if I was just sailing with my wife, for example, I would be going on the smaller ships, you know, because you do have that kind of, that service level and that intimacy is very, very special. So,
Adam, thank you so much. So interesting. And thanks to you as well for your company. I'll see you again soon here on TV Cruise Channel.